So this session was mainly, so we know that the data collection period for the first block, the 2-week period, starts today. And I know some centres might not already have their approvals in place, and it is optional which blocks or periods that you participate in. You can participate in one or as many as is feasible for your centre. So we just wanted to organise this session to kind of give an opportunity if you want to ask any questions or to go over any concerns that might arise kind of in this period as we start the data collection period. So if you want to unmute yourself or put a question into the chat, either way is fine. And hopefully we can answer the questions as best that we can. And yeah, Amanda, you've raised your hand.
Yes, thank you. I'm the lead for Australia, and a problem arose today with the data transfer agreement. So we had the DTA that was sent through with Bangladesh and Ewan, but it doesn't have a space for the form to be signed, which means that we can't use the DTA in Australia. So I need a version of the form that has space for the signatories from the hospital in Australia as well as the University of Edinburgh.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure we can arrange that, and I can pass that on and ask them if that should be possible, and hopefully we can get that to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, because at the moment we have 73 sites, 11 of which are authorised in collecting data today, but the other 50 are likely to need the DTA. So all of those sites are unable to collect data by our laws until they actually have a signed DTA form.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, we can definitely try and get that as soon as possible. So the form that you have at the minute, it's just the fact that there isn't room for the signatories, and that's the requirement. Okay.
Yes, the version that we used for Hippo did have that on the bottom, so I'm sure it's just a matter of adding that, but clearly that needs to be approved from your end before it's sent through to us.
Yeah, that's no problem. We'll try to get that completed as soon as possible so it doesn't delay those centres getting involved.
Thank you.
No problem. And so Alizar has you've your hand raised. Would you like to unmute the question, or you can comment in the chat?
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. How are you?
Hi.
So just I'm just trying to ask. So, are we starting to enter data starting from today? Like, few hospital leads have been talking to me earlier today that they have not yet received RedCap logins for their collaborators. So, how do we make sure that all of them would get that anytime soon?
Yeah, so the RedCap, sorry about the delay in them in getting their collaborator emails. I think we're going to try and manage like RedCap queries by if we email. So we have GECKO@gmail.com. That's the main email, and we'll aim to kind of address that as soon as possible. Like someone will that's where they're kind of addressing the queries. Yeah, sorry that you haven't gotten your logins yet. But yeah, if your center can email to GECKO, I'll put it in the chat, GECKO@gmail.com, we can coordinate any like issues with the RedCap from there, and hopefully you won't be delayed. But if there is any issues with RedCap, it is also possible to initially collect the data on paper forms, but we will try, of course, to resolve the issue with RedCap as soon as possible. But I'll put in the chat the GECKO RedCap email, and that's where we're kind of coordinating the any issues that arise.
Can I just add a point there, Laura, as well? This is something that we've noticed with a couple of the queries that are coming through with RedCap, is that sometimes the emails that have been entered on the mini-team registration have been incomplete or incorrect. And also we've noticed that a couple of the ORCID IDs have also been incorrect as well. So what we've been asking hospital leads to do is just to double check to make sure that they've definitely entered everything incorrectly on the form, and that they've also checked their junk email as well, because often we're finding that some of the logins are going there instead. Theoretically, if all of that has been done correctly, then the login should be issued without any issues. But if there are any issues at all, like Laura said, drop us an email and we can definitely look into that and get that sorted. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. So those who have already received, they can start registering starting from today.
Yes, that's correct. For period 1. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, and do you have any other I don't think we have any other hands raised at the moment, but if anyone else has any questions, feel you can put it into the chat or unmute yourself.
Is there anything in particular anybody wants to discuss, or any issues that sort of been encountered coming up to this period? So I think Amanda mentioned a really good point about the DTA, and we'll definitely look into that urgently for you. So I appreciate that, those centres that needs to be sorted. So we'll get that sorted for you as soon as possible. Has anybody else had any issues with the data transfer agreement or registrations, anything like that at all?
Maybe I have one point. Sorry, can I say?
Of course.
Yeah, I think CVISH has already sent us an email with few revisions in the protocol. So sorry, I didn't have the time to check that, but I had two important issues which I raised in our launch meeting. The two are, one is regarding the sending pathology for every cholecystectomy specimen, and the other is the 1 year follow-up. Like, we do have a problem. We don't routinely send the gallbladders specimen routinely for pathology. So is there any mechanism that is designed to tackle this? And regarding the 1 year follow-up, everywhere in Ethiopia, it's not electronically connected, so patient can be missed unless we have a phone contact. So which might lead to a deviation from our normal practice. These two concerns are still a bit of a problem if it was solved.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good question, actually. And it's a good point. So yeah, one thing to really reinforce here is that we don't want anybody to change practice as a result of the study. So if it's not the case that you routinely follow up those patients after 1 year, then we wouldn't necessarily advise you to actively go out the way to contact them. You could, of course, at 1 year, look through clinical records, see if they've been readmitted to hospital, whether they underwent any further radiological investigations, and that would still be appropriate if that information was available to you. I think on the topic of histology, it's a good point. Not everybody sends it off routinely, and if that's the case, then I would just advise you to leave that data point empty. I think as long as 95% or greater of the data points are completed per record, that patient would still count as a valid input. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Any other issues? Any other thoughts at all? I think just as a point, really, just to mention, really, is just to thank all of you guys for all your support as well. I think it's incredible. We've had over 1,900 expressions of interest over the past few months, and we've been really overwhelmed with the amount of interest that has been in GECKO. So I think from the steering committee's point of view, we really do appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us, and I feel like we've really engaged a lot of the hospital leads in the process. I think it's at this stage, it's just more about continuing that and making sure that everybody has got their red cap sorted, going ahead, ethics sorted, and there's no other burning issues moving forwards. Laura, do you have anything else to mention?
No, I don't think I have any further. Just what you were saying about the 1 year follow-up. Yeah, we're not looking for any kind of data that is extra to routine care. So a lot of patients won't routinely be followed up. So, but what we are asking is for their records from that hospital to be checked at the year to see if there's any like subsequent admissions related to their cholecystectomy, or I suppose ideally, usually if someone is referred or treated in a different hospital for a complication related to a surgery from, say, the hospital you're in, they might send say a discharge letter. So I suppose the 1 year, the main thing at that was that we would at least review their chart to see if there were any subsequent complications. But if there was nothing in the chart, then the committee had decided that we would then consider that to be an uncomplicated, and that no further follow-up was required in that instance. So yeah, we don't we're not asking people to do any kind of additional steps to routine care. And Amanda, you have your hand if you'd like to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. I just had another question. I'm sure other national leads have the same problem. I've got a few sites that have expressed an interest, but haven't been responding to emails that I've sent them. The national lead app that you've set up is really, really useful, but it doesn't have the mobile phone numbers of those hospital leads. It would probably be quite helpful if there was a way to add those on, just as another way of contacting those people that actually aren't responding to our emails.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And one of the committee members, Omar, was involved in creating that app. So I can definitely
it's brilliant. It's so helpful.
I can definitely ask him if we could include that as well, because yeah, it would definitely, especially when you're not sure if there's multiple people interested in a certain hospital. But yeah, I can definitely pass that on to Omar and ask if he can add that into the form, into the app, because it definitely would be a lot easier if as you're kind of finding it difficult to sometimes get replies to emails. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's something that we could.
Yeah, because I think you would have that information anyway when they register interest. They need to add their mobile number.
I believe, I'm not 100% sure for I know for the national leads.
So unfortunately, we don't have that information on the expression of interest. We have had some
trash.
It is unfortunate, isn't it? So it may be very difficult to add that in. It's something we can certainly discuss. I'll make sure to raise it with the steering committee, because I agree it would be a fantastic idea. And this has been one of the issues that we have encountered, is that some people just aren't responding to their emails at all. They haven't completed the mini-team registration or the site survey. And we have been sending reminders to them regularly from our end as well. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that information as far as I'm aware on expression of interest. But I can have a look and see if that could be something we could look into. I suspect it's probably unlikely, though. I'm sorry about that, Amanda.
No, that's okay. I thought I'd ask. Thank you.
It's worth a try. And no problem. Harvest, I see you've got your hand up as well.
Hi, good evening to everyone. 92 hospitals which show straight GECKO. Of them, we've been able to, kind of get 61 of them with all the documents and approvals. 15 remaining 15 have again we've been able to contact them and kind of getting after them, to do their work, whatever needs to be done. Of them, 15 who have not responded, we are sure that these people won't be included in the snapshot study for this 16 weeks period, because we really don't know their commitment to the cause, and I don't think so. We would be encouraging them to. We would be encouraging to even collect their data, because definitely there has to be some form of commitment from the institute which is participating.
Thank you, Parvez. And I agree that it's important that the hospital leads engage with the process and make sure that they're on top of everything. In some sites, we have had collaborators actually approach us saying that they're unable to get hold of the hospital lead. And if we send them a few reminders, sometimes what we've decided is to actually offer them the opportunity to step up, particularly if the hospital lead isn't sort of interested in engaging with the process anymore. So that is another option that we have if people aren't responding to their emails or completing the registration in a timely manner. I do agree, though, it's really important that they engage with the process and make sure that data is complete, as it adds value to our study, of course. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe to add on this point.
No problem, go ahead.
Just to share my experience. So like what Amanda said, in one of our sessions, I requested about having the phone numbers of hospital leads, but they said they will look into it. And fortunate enough, I've managed to get like most of the phone numbers of the hospital leads, and have been able to call them once and twice, but some of them, they don't respond, like what my friend said earlier. If you don't have the interest and the commitment, even if you get to manage sometimes the phone numbers, it's still a bit difficult. And I want to hear the experience of the other national leads, how far they would go. Like we are adults, you contact them, you call them, and if they don't respond, and that's very difficult, right? Just to share my experience, like in Ethiopia, out of 41 registered hospitals, like 24 of them have completely registered, but the rest, like 18 of them, they're not responding. Like I've been personally calling each hospital lead, but they don't respond. So that's a bit of a problem.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on that at all?
I suppose if we have given, say, hospital leads, you've tried to contact them by email or by phone, and in the case that you don't have a phone, I suppose email will be the only way. I suppose an initial email, and then you could potentially send like ask them to reply if they can't reply within if they're failing to reply, we could say that if we would need them to reply within like a certain time frame in order to continue as the hospital lead, because I suppose if they have registered and then we can't get any contact for them, it mightn't they may no longer be in a position to continue with the role. But if there was, say, for instance, other people at the same centre that had expressed interest, we could also contact them and see if the appointed hospital lead is still engaging in the study. But I suppose, yeah, we just need to give them kind of a deadline opportunity to respond. But if their kind of failure to respond is meaning that their centre can't get involved, it may be necessary to like reassign the role of hospital lead once we've given them kind of every opportunity to actually get back to us first. But I suppose that might be kind of on a case-by-case basis. But yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else has any other thoughts.
I don't think we should be stretching this for a long period of time. We should have a timeline on the institutes which have not, registered. Because if you give them too much of leeway, I think there is always a chance of these institutes giving you in kind of data which will be not representative of the exact methodology we are planning to follow.
Okay.
And that shows also the seriousness towards the study also. I might be wrong, but this is how I would like to manage the sites I'm going our India hub is going to coordinate with. I just wanted to ask if and would suggest certain things that if you are having problem later on, once we start recruiting patients and we start, I mean, the study, we start collecting data and this red cap upload happens. Is it possible that as the coordinating national lead and the hub, we will be able to look at the collective data for India at any point of time?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but
like a dashboard which says India is at this point. And then the second thing is, if you are having a problem with a particular site, it would be nice that you copy us in the email when you are sending the queries, so that we are also able to coordinate with them. It will be very good. I mean, if you contact them and then they don't respond and you call us a little later, it'll be very difficult. We've got around 60 of them.
okay.
And India has got 2 sub-hubs also, that is down south and in the west, so in the east of the country. So we are they're sub-delegated them work to coordinate with these hospitals. So we would be very happy if you send a copy us to the email as and when you have problems with a particular site, and we would definitely get into the problem solving.
Yeah, no, we can definitely do that. And yeah, of course, if you're kind of contacting hospital leads, you can if you want to pick, say, a certain amount of period that you can kind of give them to respond, and then if they haven't responded, you can of course reassign the role of hospital lead in that case. And I do believe so on our red cap. I'll just have to clarify with Omar, who's coordinating red cap, but we'll be able to see kind of how many patients have been, how much data has been collected, or like how many patients have been included for each site. But I'm just not sure exactly how the dashboard will be displayed, and how that will be kind of available for national leads. Will it be kind of, you'll be able to see in your own country? So I'll just have to clarify that with Omar, who is coordinating red cap. But definitely for queries regarding hospital specific hospital sites, we can 100% CC in the national lead, because yeah, it's important that you're aware of like any potential issues, and that we're all on the same page. So yeah, I think that would be very important, that we can definitely do going forward.
Thank you, Parvez. Has anybody else got any queries they would like to discuss at all? I see Savash's joined the call as well. Hi, Savash, you're right.
Hi, Alex. How's things? Thanks, everyone. So I think there was a query about DT. I think, Amanda, that you raised it. So I just got a text. So I think we spoke to Ewan Harrison just now, and we did mention about the signing of it. So we can certainly add a box if that's if we feel that might be useful. I think in terms of who signs it from our side, it might not be someone directly working with the university, but it might be on behalf. So someone like Ewan Harrison or the Edinburgh team. Would that be sort of suitable, or does it need to be someone from the university, because that would actually take quite a long time from previous experience? Sorry, Amanda, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I know some of my other colleagues were mentioning before that they require a DTA that's signed as well. from an Australian perspective, from our governance, we would need it signed at our end, usually by a hospital executive, so the chief executive officer or their delegate, so above the level of the hospital PI. The way that we've done this previously is that if you send us an unsigned form, we would get the CEO to sign the form on our end, send it back to be approved at yours, and then returned as a fully signed version to the hospital, which would then allow our governance to go ahead. In terms of who signs it at your end, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know who signed it last time. Maria may be able to say what they did for Hippo.
Yeah, so I think Drew from India, who joined the call earlier, had suggested that I think it took a while to sort of get it signed by someone working with the university. So I think if that's acceptable, then I think we can certainly sign it on behalf to someone from the Edinburgh team. So we can certainly get that signed. And then a signature from your end, I think that would then meet the requirements for your ethical approval. So I think that's not a problem, and I can help with actioning that later today, if that's okay.
Thanks, Savesh. I said that one of the emails I sent through earlier today had a suggested box from one of our research officers for what the signatory box would look like, which I think was a direct copy from what was used for Hippo. But thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Savesh. Richard, I see you've got your hands up. Did you want to add a point?
It's more just at the moment we're currently having difficulties in South Africa to get our legal team to accept the DTA from the UK. Is there a possibility of getting a separate DTA formed, or if that is needed, how could we go about that?
And by separate DTA, do you mean an amended version of the data transfer agreement?
That's correct, yes. One that would be almost written from our legal department side.
I think that would be very difficult, as far as I'm aware. It did take us a long time to produce the DTA. Yeah, I'm not too sure on that, actually. I would need to clarify it. Savesh, do you have any thoughts on that point at all?
Yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to do something like that, but we can certainly discuss it if that's okay.
Lovely, thanks. I'll be in touch then.
Thank you, Richard. Alizar, I see you got your hand up. So did you have a point to mention? Alizar?
No, I have no other point. Sorry.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, so sorry. So I think in terms of amendments to the DTA, I think that might be slightly a bit tricky because it will have to go through the legal department in Edinburgh. But Richard, how many centres would that be for that would require amendments to DTA, or is it going to be specific to each hospital?
No, so it's a specific site. It's associated with the Wits University, so it would be about 6 hospitals that would be affected.
Okay, we'll put that into the action points, and I'll look into that together with you and Harrison when we look at adding the signatories as well. So I'll raise those 2 points.
Thanks, Savesh.
Did anyone else like to share any updates on how things are going locally, or if there's any particular issues in terms of RedCap logins? I think we might have covered this, but there's certainly a lot of queries coming through RedCap login that majority of the time it would have gone through spam or inbox. So really encourage all the collaborators to log in. And I think also in terms of hospital leads, some of them may not be familiar with RedCap, but we've given a couple of PDFs and also video tutorials, so hopefully that might be useful for them. Has anyone had any difficulties engaging with hospital leads, or if they found that the materials that we've provided so far is not very user-friendly?
We actually discussed that a little bit so far. So Amanda mentioned that sometimes if they're finding it difficult to get in contact with the hospital leads by email, and suggested like that it would be handy if it was possible to get the hospital lead phone numbers on the Shiny app for national leads. But we don't currently take like that's not part of the information submitted when hospital leads complete the expression of interest, but that would be something that we could consider, because currently some national leads are finding that they're not getting responses to emails, and that has been an issue that has been raised just so far, that it might like facilitate the coordination of centers in their country a little bit easier, make it a bit easier if they had the phone numbers that they could contact them.
Okay, great. Any other queries at all? Anything else anybody would like to discuss at all?
I think the other point to mention is about data validation. Again, we've had quite an influx of emails coming through on that. I think the key thing to emphasize is that the data validation should be an independent process. It should be someone independent altogether who works within the hospital or within the institution. It shouldn't be someone who's a hospital lead, or it shouldn't be someone who's a supervising consultant or someone who's been named data collector. So it should be someone independent. So it could still be a trainee, can still be a consultant, colleague, as long as they're not involved in any of the process of data collections, just so that it is all above waters, and we're sort of, ensuring that the process is valid and data collection is reliable. So I think that's something to really emphasize, because we seem to be getting a lot of queries on that. It's probably a knee jerk because everyone's trying to make sure they're doing things right. So maybe if all of us emphasize to their hospital leads, that's the case, that should reassure them. I've also seen that Prof. Primrose is on the call. Prof, would you like to say anything or mention anything about the study? He might be busy. Has anyone got any other queries in the meantime that they like to raise? We've still got quite a bit of time for open discussions. If we go through the room, just checking if everyone's spoken. Sorry, Christopher.
Nothing from me right now, Sivesh. Thank you.
Great. Nikos? Zakaria?
And if it's not possible for you, say if you're somewhere that you can't speak, if you want to write a question into the chat or just message in, that's fine too if you're not able to turn on your microphone at the time.
Sylvia, Dion, Squadalan.
Hello, good evening, good morning. Yeah, I'm from the Philippines, and I have the same challenge as the other sites or national leads. I think only 50% of those who submitted their interest are responding, so I really have to follow up on them and look for their telephone numbers from other people. So we have to ask the community, like surgeons, residents, if we can get a hold of their phone numbers because they don't respond through the email. Secondly, if you can assist me in looking for the site survey link. So if ever I would be able to contact them, I can also show them where to get that and where to submit.
Yeah, so in terms of the site survey, it's the same process of when they complete the team registration. So when they open their individual reg caps, they should have access to the unit survey. And we have covered this within the video tutorial and also in the reg cap. So when they log in and they go on to complete the team registration, it's next to it.
All right. Yeah. So I noticed if they haven't registered their teams, definitely they don't have a complete site survey yet. So we really have to get in touch with them. That's it from my end. Yeah.
I think the other thing, just to mention that point, I think the hospital lead guide for REDCap also covers the site survey registration, completing that as well. So that might be quite a useful document to distribute to them if they're having issues navigating REDCap, just to make sure they cover all bases with that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think the unit survey is quite important because we're going to plan to use the unit survey to be able to link it up to the hospital level outcomes. And I think so far looking at it, I'm sure all of you have access to the dashboard, which will give you the number of people who've actually participated in terms of all the different periods and also the unit survey. So we have about more than 1,000 unit surveys completed. So I think we need to try and convert all the unit surveys if possible, while also ensuring them to sort of register on time. I think the key is that some of the questions that people have asked is, can they have the same team members across all the data collection periods? The answer is yes. So say, for instance, if you register only for a particular period, like period 2 or period 1, the same team will have access to the whole data collection period. So it's not necessary for them to then register for all data collection periods. However, if they're registered for data collection period 8 and would like to start in data collection period 2, then you should urge them to make sure they get registered in advance. So then they can actually use the data collection period. So I think it's all about just supporting the hospital leads, making sure they're all happy, and that the ethical process goes through well. We've also got Professor Morton, who's just joined the call. Welcome, Prof.
Hi, everyone. Very exciting day.
So, Prof, we're just going through the hospital team registrations and also the unit survey. We just sort of said that we've got more than 1,000 unit surveys completed to give us hospital level data, and a lot of there's about more than 1,000 teams that have registered in at least one data collection period, and we're just trying to convert the remaining centers of express interest. So has anyone got any questions at present time apart from what we've discussed at the moment? Any thieving issues that we'll feedback some of the things about telephone numbers, and we'll see whether we can upload that into the reg cap. So just going around the room, Sulia.
Yes, hi everyone.
Hi Sulia. How are you getting on?
I'm fine. Hope you too. In Benin, we continue helping our spokes to register their teams and answer to the site survey. As you sent the protocol modification, we will try to update the protocol and inform the ethics committee for the process of obtaining the ethics approval.
Thanks, Julia. I think one of the key things that's worth emphasizing is that changes to the protocol that was made is only around the very small data points, and there's no change to the objectives or the aims or the whole structures of what we are collecting. So there should be, again, no change to patient outcomes or patient pathways. So just in case if they did think, why are we changing this last minute? It was mainly based on feedback from the webinar launch that we've got from everyone here today and from all the local hospital leads. So we've acted on the feedback and we've changed some of the data points and sure it's globally applicable. So just to mention that.
Okay, thank you.
Hamdun, is there anything that you'd like to update us on?
Yeah, greetings everyone. Hi Sivesh, hi Laura.
Hello.
Today we started to collect data, and we came across a patient with Down syndrome who's undergoing cholecystectomy. One issue that we faced is in the data collection form, the comorbidities field. This particular patient had none of the mentioned diseases in the form, but according to the anesthesia team, he was classified as ASA grade 3. So if we have a patient with the same issue, is there any conflict between the ASA grade and the comorbidities?
No, I think ASA grade, as we know it, is all very subjective, and it depends on, there's certainly a lot of variation between the different anaesthetists and what anaesthetists and surgeons perceive. I obviously cannot comment on that particular instance and why it was graded 3. I'm sure they might have other medical, doesn't mean that if they don't fit the comorbidities list that we've got on GECKO, they may not have a valid reason for ASA grade. So unfortunately, we'll have to go based on what the local anesthetists say, but we've got a guide of ASA grades and a list of medical conditions, and they certainly may not interact with one another. So we've got Professor Morton who's just got his hands raised.
I was just going to add to that to say that it's a good point that Hamdun is raising, but those data points will be analysed separately. So they don't have to be internally consistent or correlating. And there will be inconsistencies when you cross-correlate between the data points. So Hamdun is a good point, but I don't think you need to worry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Was there anything else that you wanted to raise, Hamdun?
Not really. We started today and we have got one patient. We are waiting for the REDCap logins to enter it in the REDCap. But in the meanwhile, we took the patient details on the case report form as on paper.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Zakaria? Was there anything that you'd like to bring up or raise? Okay. Abdul Rashid?
Hi, Sivesh. Yeah, so here in Windhoek, we managed to get all the ethics representing for the whole country. We will start collecting with our first period. There's just one center up in the north, 2 centers which did not receive REDCap logins for the collaborators, but I'm sure we should be able to start here in Namibia. So I think it's all good for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul Rashid. And what do you know what the name of the center is? So we'll make a note and we'll try and after this call try and find out what where the holdup is from our end.
Yeah, I'll probably text you. One is called on Anjokwe, one is called on NIP, on Dango Private Hospital. But I'll just send you the names on the WhatsApp.
Thank you very much. We will look into that, and I suspect because of the volume of collaborators we have, it might be a delay in terms of it coming through, or it's most likely from our end. So I'll look back into that and then get back to you once we've actioned done.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Hamad? Is there anything that you'd like to raise with the team today? Okay, and Melissa? Is there anything that you'd like to raise with the team here today?
Hi, Sivesh. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Ramos, and so far we have no questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks everyone. I think that's been a really fantastic discussion overall. I think one thing to emphasize is also to remind the local hospital leads about the 1-year follow-up, because we're really interested to know what happens in terms of the incidental gallbladder cancers and bowel injuries. So we've got a guide, red cap guide that we've circulated around, but I think just to emphasize the local collaborators or leads to store the patient identification form and the corresponding red cap ID, so we can revisit it at 1 year. So I think that's very important to ensure good follow-up. So thanks everyone for attending the National Leads meeting. I think it's really phenomenal that we've got a really large volume of interest and registrations, and we'll keep the momentum going, and we'll have plenty of National Leads dedicated sessions, and we'll also organize webinar drop-in sessions for hospital leads, and we'll organize them by regions just to accommodate the different time zones better, and hopefully we'll keep interest and engagement throughout and feedback all the results very soon, shortly. Thank you.